What's up, y'all? How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Bouquis Place. So you know what we do here. In a world where everybody's talking about the glitz and the glam and all that, we talk about the grit and the grind. We give you practical tools that you need to do destiny. And so right now, I have in the building, if you have not seen King of Boys, you need to go see it. Listen, it will change your life. Today, I have one of the leading actors in the series right here at Bouquis Place. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll for the one and only Titi Kuti.
Yay! My G,
What's
my G,
up?
my G.
From way back.
Like many people don't know what I mean by my G. I'm not just saying it. This is my G, man. Like we go way back, man. Way back.
Way back. They don't know. They don't
Yes,
know.
yes. How you
How
doing,
you
man?
doing, my brother? How you doing?
I'm very well, man. Very
Listen,
good. And you?
I'm well, but today is not about me, Titi. Listen, you blew my mind completely with your role in this King. I mean, I saw King of Boys 1, you know what I'm saying? But this other one, the plot, the way it went and all that was just phenomenal. But Bouquis Place is a kind of different show.
Yeah,
So we don't talk about the show because people have seen the show. We
yeah.
love it. We saw your role. You know, I'm sure you're tired of all the questions. So how do you get into character? So what did you do? Yeah, so everybody can do that. So we want to know the man behind the star. Because you see, like I said earlier, in a world where everybody's talking about the things that don't really matter, we need to get to a point where we practically equip people with the tools that they need to do destiny. Because
Yeah,
destiny is calling, purpose is hanging. And if you don't find it, if you don't fulfill it, you're just going to be wasting your time. And,
yeah,
a lot of people see a tree and they see the flowers, they see the branches, the intertwining branches, and they say,
yeah,
oh my God, I love that tree. They don't really talk about the roots.
yeah,
Nobody really talks about the root, and without the root, the tree won't stand. So
yeah.
today, what you're going to do is you're going to tell us your story. Where you were born, how they born you, when, and then how you got here. But take us through the things that really molded you, the things that made you you, not to we already see the glam, we follow you. We want to know what really made you. The fire of affliction, the things that really made you cry, that broke your heart. That's what we really like to hear, so that when someone hears you, they can say, you know what, if Titi went through that and is succeeding, I have no excuses. I need to dust myself up, forget who didn't do what, forget who did what, and go get it. So when I shut up right now, it's going to be your show. You're going to start from where you were born, and then gradually we go wherever you go.
All right. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Buki. It's this obviously promises to be an amazing experience. It's different from everything I've done in real life. Now, real
I
talk is
told
it's
you.
quite different. And at any point in time, feel free to jump in and ask questions.
Okay,
If
cool.
there's something that I mentioned and you feel you need me to expatiate on or you need more
I
details, feel
got
free
you.
to
I
just
got you.
jump on it, all right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, first, everybody knows my name is Titi Kuti already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born here in Lagos, Nigeria. Not in Kalakuta Shrine, as many people thought. No disrespect to Kalakuta. That's a heritage, and I'm proud to be associated. But I was not born in Kalakuta, in Sofela's family. Now, my family is same family, but not. I'm the only one in the arts in my family right now.
Mm.
Yeah, so my dad is an accountant or retired as an accountant. My mom is a business person. She never
Wow.
worked as one of the pool girls in Fela Shrine. No disrespect again, because every time I go to the shrine, I spend money for those women because for me it's the love of the art, and that
Mm.
circle cannot be complete without those women. So when I go there, I
Yeah.
spend money for them. So my mom was never one of them. The truth is just the truth.
Okay.
All right. I had a rather strict upbringing. Very strict.
How many people? How many siblings do you have?
Two.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got a very, very strict upbringing. Regular, families who, especially because we had the stigma around our name, everybody expected some level of exuberance from everybody that bears Kuti. So as much as everybody was proud of the name, because it's our name,
Mm.
there was that extra strictness. But one thing that my parents tried to do was not to allow the strictness be a hindrance to the direction that my interest was gravitating. I've always been a creative person from much younger. I've always my interests have always gravitated towards expression. So in an era when you had people who were wearing a certain look, you have to wear a low cut, you have to look nice. I was wearing wild-looking dreadlock.
We know.
In that era, yes, and trust me, I got the hits. My parents got the hits, especially from friends of theirs. Some would say, "Oh, how can you allow your child look like that?" But so my parents were they would look away from those things, even though I know it was difficult. It was very difficult. And because I would say they knew me, all right, and they were willing to give me an opportunity as far as being expressive was concerned. So they always looked away from all those little slides. Sometimes we go visiting their friends, and then they just make those comments that they're trying to slight them, like, you're walking up and down with your child with this kind of hair on his head and stuff, and but they just some way they had the strength to look away from it, or maybe they had the vision, like to look away from it. So when my parents wanted to treat me or discipline me, it was never because of my looks per se. It was because you did something and you messed up.
Well, let's isolate that and deal with it.
So at some point, from my natural, I've always been a very bold and expressive, very bold and daring person. I like to do daring things, especially when there is a dream attached to it, even as a child. And that's why I always say that if I didn't end up in the media, I possibly would be in the military. Because that's I'll likely have been a soldier or a pilot or both, a military pilot.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, so when I started, I used to wear ripped shirts, have 50 pins in my shirt. Not as bad as the really. Shout out to that's my guy.
Shout out to Darren, that's my guy. That's our guy from way back.
That's our guy from way back in the line. So, I used to have ripped shirts. I always did creative things with my outfits. And for me, it was all about expression. It wasn't really, trying to be radical. It was just expression. So you will always find the art in what I did. And then I met a modeling agent at some point. At the party, actually.
Tell us about the party. Don't just grace over it. We want to hear the nitty-gritty. Tell us about the party.
So I went to a party. It was I think it was a wedding party, or it was a party. Normal Yoruba ceremony. Everybody was wearing native, with their gobi hat and their dada and all those things. So I also went to a native, but the difference is my native was ripped in some places, and I have safety pins holding on. So some people couldn't get what was going on. Like, is it crazy, tattered, or is it actually fashion? They were caught in between. So I was pretty much the subject of attention at that wedding. I didn't I never really cared per se. Like I've always been bold, so it never really affected me. Walking into someone, everybody's looking at me was never a problem. So that's why I met the modeling agent. His name is Lulu of Hotline Models. I don't know if he still runs business, but back then it was a big thing. So he walked up to me and then we had a little chit chat, and then he gave me his telephone number to call him. And I called him 2 days later. He was upset that I didn't even call him like the following day.
Immediately. Do you know who I am?
Yeah, the guy had things in mind he wanted to do with me already. So I think back then we went to, I'm not sure if it was Shola Studios first or in Surulere. I just know he took me to the studio. He paid for a photo session for me, and then about a month down the line, he got me my first modeling job. Wow. And then like 3 months down the line, I got a major job. That's with the telecoms company that back then they were very new. I'm not going to mention their name, but everybody knows the yellow color. Yeah, it's the yellow color guy. Yeah, so it was a total exposure. It was airport branding, billboard, press, TVC. It was loud. And I would say that pretty much was my first taste of, I'd say, popularity, because I got very popular very quickly. As soon as we shot that commercial, in 2 weeks the campaign started. And in all, I shot 4 TVCs for them in the space of 1 year. So that was my first, it was also my first welcome into acting, because if you know how TVCs are, it's pretty much acting, just shorter. It's a shorter span. They give you a script, you read the script. So that was how I started, getting into acting little by little then. So that went on for some time. I continued with modeling. I did runway for a very, very short bit. Yes, just a few fashion shows. I think it was St. Maurice Style I started with first. I came in at the high point of the night because I was already popular from the yellow people's. Yeah, so I was the last person to walk so I didn't really do it for too long. And then the industry started to take a downturn.
Wait, oh, sorry. Mommy, what are you doing online? Mommy, don't be joining my life. Now I gotta behave myself. My mom is watching.
Mom? Hi, Mommy, how are you?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so the modern industry at some point took a downturn. The money wasn't right anymore. And even though I wasn't all about the money per se, I was more about the expression. When you have an exposure, it does come with some certain pressures that eventually become financial. People have certain expectations of you, which you have to keep up and stuff. So, and then the audition was what discouraged me totally. Like normally the process, when the client meets with the agency to give them a brief, the agency will give the modeling agents that brief or a summary of the brief, so they know who to cast already. So you go to an audition, normally you meet 50 people, everybody's properly casted, so the competition is interesting. You see somebody who looks like you, yeah. But then all of a sudden you go to a casting that is meant for, let's say, between 25 to 30-year-old men, and then you're seeing 60-year-old people there. And then you're even seeing women, and they're like, is that somebody didn't get it? So they stop all of that in order to, kind of cramp down on the amount of money that they pay models, And then these auditions that usually never used to go past 50 people at most. I got to an audition one day and I met 5,000 people at least.
Wow.
I'm telling you, that was the last day for me. And then I eventually go through the audition, all through that, all day, all through the stress. I even go the second day again. And then eventually I made it to the top 3. So they selected us for the top 3. And then I found out then that they were offering to pay 70,000 for full exposure. And I'm like, are you guys being serious? Like 70,000? Do you guys are you talking in naira or different currency?
Tell us.
Yeah, because the last total exposure I did, even as at then, dollar was less than $100.
Wow.
Yeah, I at that time I was paid a little over $1 million. Like I had 2 agents that fed fat from that exposure alone. Because it wasn't my agent that got the job. It was another agent that contacted my agent that he needed me. So they shared money, and everybody still had a good chunk of money. So and then these guys, after going through 5,000 people, then you offering me 70,000, and the other 2 guys took it because they considered the stress they had gone through, and like after having come in this far. So, but for me, I just thought it was wrong positioning at that point. And that was the mark. That was the turning point for me. Like, look, it's time for the next leap. It's time to think of the next phase, to next platform to express your creativity. And that's how television came to be. I went to Nigeria one day.
Nigeria. Shout out to Kwame.
And back then, I think it was Global Sounds. It was just towards the end of Global Sounds when he was about to change it to Nigeria and stuff. And, I met the boss, Kwame, through Yinka Obibi. We just had a chat. I went with my bike. So the attention was there. For those who don't know, yes, I rode the power bike for a very long time in Lagos. And I was popular for it too. So I went there, and then he was like, "Who is the biker boy?" So there was already attention around my arrival. And then we had a chat, and then
it's fine, no. And it's fine, no. Wow, what this boy said.
Yeah, so,
go ahead.
So we had a chat, and the next thing he told you got to hire me. Like, you know what? Let's give him a shot. So I became a presenter in Nigeria. I trained for the first, I think, 3 to 4 months. I was shadowing then the 2 lead presenters then. That's Andre Blaze. Yeah, it was Andre Blaze. Yes, and then I was shadowing Kwame himself when he was doing his voiceovers and stuff. And then I was also shadowing Alice Holloway. Yeah, I was also shadowing Alice Holloway.
Yeah.
So after 3 months, yes, I had my own shows that I was doing, Top 10 Nigeria and Nigeria Presents. And that continued for some time. And then one day, Kwame walked in on set before we started shooting, and he saw my participation, how involved I was.
You were engaged,
trying to put things together, trying to get things right. And then after the show that day, he called me into his office and told me, "Look, my platform is a place where, people come to grow and develop their multiple talents. So I can see a producer in here, and regardless of if you're ready or not, I will get it out of you." So the first thing he did was he made me the producer of my own show. Wow. And trust me, we had plenty of fights because I was very experimental. I almost changed the entire theme of the show. But the thing is, whatever I do, even though I know Kwame will fight me about it, it never stopped me from trying it. So I would try it, and then eventually the sponsors would like it. And then that is what will settle the fight eventually. So me and Oga will fight, and then sponsor will bring money to come and settle fight for us. And that continued for some time. I became the producer of 3 additional shows. So I was producing 4 shows and presenting 1. I couldn't present the second one because there was no time anymore. At the end of that year, I became the head of production. So that is how I slowly gravitated from being on screen to being a producer, because
Behind the
responsibility of carrying the weight of a production is very time consuming. It's difficult to mix it with anything else per se, especially when you are talking about television channel that runs 24 hours. It's a lot of responsibility. Yeah. So I was still acting then. That was this popular series, Emerald. Yeah, that was Emerald at the time. And then I remember Kwame found out, and it almost became a thing, because he was like, then I had a chat with him, like, look, I'll find a way for it not to affect my responsibility. And he was like, all right, I want to see how you're going to do that, but as long as you can pull it out of, no problem with me. So I just muscled through filming the first season of Emerald, and then I told the producer then, Ima Odumo, we met at a later production in life, but we'll get to that story. So by that time, that was our first meeting. I really can't continue. Like I run the channel, and I can't. My boss knows I'm a commitment person. So once I put my spirit and blood into something, I take it as I own it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't watch Nigeria as a platform so far because of so I left acting at that point in time. The time myself and Kwame were going to have the real, it was about expansion soon. Shortly after, big format came to Nigeria. Big format shows starting from Glow Niger Sings. And for me, that was the next level. Like, you know what? The idea was to just go there, expand myself, gather more experience, and then possibly if it's something I could still use in the channel. But it wasn't, those 2 things are too time consuming to marry. So I had to take a walk from Nigeria at that point in time. And it was trust me, it was painful because I was so attached to the channel. I was very attached. Nigeria was like it wasn't just like, it was like my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like my own. So I was painful, but I understood that. Look,
was it at Nigeria I met you or before Nigeria?
I'm not sure. I think it was before.
Nigeria was what year? That was 2008
or 2009, thereabout. It was 2009. Yes, now you what they call his name? If you're Morugbe, what they call you? There was a couple of he had a couple of you as his artists that back there. I think working together. Yeah. So you guys were doing the artist thingy, so I was in the channel. And so,
the production.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's how I had to take a walk from Nigeria, because it was time to grow and expand and learn new things, gather more knowledge. So and it was only supposed to be for a short time. But if you know big format production, everyone lasts about 4 to 6 months on the average. So whatever you do for 4 to 6 months, you're done for the whole
already.
Yeah. So you just do minimal things. So after the first one, Glow Niger Sings, the very following year, Nigerian Idols came. And I was on that project. As a matter of fact, that is how I stayed in that space for the next 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, from Idols to Nigeria's Got Talent season 1 and 2 to Football Legends Nigeria. So for the next 5 years, I was in the big format space. So that's how I gravitated completely off screen. And I just, got so involved in production. It wasn't until Africa Magic Hustle, that's a project commissioned by Africa Magic, one of their commission shows, came, yes, and I was one of the producers too. It wasn't until Africa Magic Hustle came that I started to chip into acting little by little, and it wasn't exactly deliberate. So, and that's also where I met Shola Shobowale. She was one of the lead actors on the series. So we grew a bond there, first as producer and his cast. You get me? So we had our fights. Don't doubt about it. We had our fights. She's a no-nonsense person too.
Absolutely.
She will bring her A game, so you better bring yours. And we had some, definitely production will always have challenges. So we had some clashes based on production challenges, which I will always take responsibility for every time. So I'm willing to, stand right in front of the bullet, like, you know what? Yes, this has gone wrong, or this is the solution. So. And it was from those fights that we started to, bond gradually. She just realized that this guy, he doesn't. The time when things are about to go wrong, when everybody else is running, that is when you see this guy. That's when he's willing to go and face that fight. Yeah. So I think that was the attraction. And then one of these days when we were filming, I think it was season 1. Season 1 was 120 episodes. So we were filming, and we had some day players on set who apparently were overreaching. And because they were on set already, they thought we had no option but to give them what they wanted, which eventually was more money. And anybody that knows me well knows that anything that has to do with blackmail or bluff, I will call it at any cost. I will always call it. So I called their bluff. I went to my head writer and I told him, you know what? This script, just rewrite it into one character and give the character his name, Jaden. And I was like, okay, which of them will be playing? I said, no, none of them. That I will be playing the character myself. And then he laughed at first because he didn't know that I have an on-screen background. He didn't know much of my history as at that time. You get me? He just felt that what does this guy want to spoil the show for? He wants to spoil his own show. So I said, no, I'm serious about it. Like I will. But in the interest of not having a quarrel, because I was already, usually when I'm in production spirit like that, I could be a different person. Yeah. So he did what I asked, and then he gave me the script. And then I told the day players to go, and they thought it was a joke. So they waited around to see what was going to happen. And they saw me go to the wardrobe department, get into costume, go on set. The actors were making fun of me too, like, what's going on here? Everybody wanted to see how it would turn out. And it turned out amazing.
Wow.
Like, to the surprise of everybody, like, so amazing that we didn't need any more day players for those particular episodes again till the end of the season. Every time that they had those same guys show up, they just replaced it with Jaden, which was my character name. So for the rest of the season, I come to location at 5 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 4:45. I do my production responsibilities till 12 midday. I go to the wardrobe department, I change into costume, I go on set to act as Jaden, and then I come back to the wardrobe department, get back into my sweaty clothes, and back on set. And that went on for some time. So that is how I gravitated back into acting. Yeah, and then myself and Shola were always having, I call her first name because that's how she is. When she's your friend, she's your friend. She doesn't do halfway, she's through and thorough. She's my auntie, but it's first name basis. So she would always encourage me back then, like, you've already learned production. And this is something that many actors come to learn at the end of their career. It's the retirement plan. Become your own producer, make your own. You've already learned this part. All right. So why don't you just push this acting a little bit? So although I made up my mind that that was the direction I was going, talking to her or hearing her say that was like the universe
confirmation,
saying the subliminal message to me, like, look, whatever you're thinking,
confirmation.
Whatever you're thinking is the right thing. Don't even sleep on it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. So the next time I heard about the call for,
Your camera is not being loyal to you. We need to let your camera watch King of Boys.
It's the what you call it? It's the stand. You don't know what to cap our stand, but God is bigger than it.
God is bigger than your camera stand.
Okay, I think I'm just gonna. There's a will, there's a way. I'm going to go the rest of the episode.
Okay.
Right? You will see some shaking there sometimes because I'm actually.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a no holds barred conversation.
Okay.
You're good.
So talking to Shola about it was always very refreshing because it was almost a reiteration from the universe itself. Like, look, what you're thinking is right.
Yeah.
So when I heard about the call for the remake of a 90s series called Palace, everybody that grew up in the 90s will know Palace. So yeah, there was going to be a continuity for it. And then I met a couple of people, and then I met one of the producers. I met one of the producers through Shola Shiboali while we were filming Hustle, and then he remembered me. So I went for the audition. We just had I just ran a few lines and stuff, and then I got the role. And that was my first prominent role back into acting. Although it wasn't everywhere because it was a Dark Communications production. It was sponsored by AIT. So it only aired on AIT. But I'm sure people who watched the show there will remember that the same person that played Ade Tiger was Blogger G in Palace Continuity, and I played Shola son in the series. So it was an amazing experience. So that's telling you how we formed the bond as producer and talent, and now we are forming a different bond as actors on the same set. Yeah, because I actually played her son. I played the prodigal son that came from America You know, I wanted to kill his parents, kill his mom,
Oh,
doing all
wow.
sorts of exuberant things. Yeah, that's the character I played. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
very. There were lots of emotional scenes that allowed us to connect emotionally and stuff. So I think that's the bedrock of myself and I having such a chemistry on screen.
On screen.
Yeah. So
You said something that this show is really about. You said you had phases, and you know these phases were there, and you had pockets of trying to decide what you wanted to do and all that
yeah,
stuff. So just in case someone is listening now, they're in between. You know that nebulous middle of not knowing what you want to do. You're not quite who you used to be. You're not who you're going to be. Now you're in the middle of with indecision. It's a transition and you're just messed up. What were the tools that you used during that season? What were the words that came to your mind? How did you overcome them? What were the grimy things you had to do to make sure that you don't stay in that same level? Because, you know, a lot of people just give up and stay there, you know?
So I think the first thing I did, and is what I still do to now, is remind myself every day why I am in this profession. Why are you here? You need to ask yourself why you're here. The why would determine the when and the how. And the why always comes first. And for me, the why is passion. It's pure passion. So trust me, I've been at points when quitting was the only option, and I did not take the only option. So if you don't start on the bedrock of passion in this industry, and this industry spans across board from music to, you know, to acting to even behind
life, basically.
So if it's not passion for you first, because passion is what gives things substance. Money is not substance. Money is good, it's all that, but it's material. There's a material end. The substance itself is passion. That's the meaning, that's the tangibility to what you're doing. If that is your foundation, that is the only thing that can take you through hard times. If you are looking for money in this industry, if you like the amount of money Hemotola Jaladi has made, or you like how Bouquis is shining, you know, you think yes, you might actually get and God might bless you, and you might find the money. But when those tough time comes, the money is not going to save you. The money will be there. It's not going to save you. You just won't be able to propel anymore. So for me, the first thing was reminding myself why I was in this industry. And for me, pure passion. And anything that, passion is the only thing that grows. It's a self-fueled seed. Once it is there, it is just there. So that was the first thing I always reminded myself, why are you here? Passion.
A lot of people don't understand that when you want to make a meal, right, you need to have the right ingredients. But you don't just stop at that. Because if I want to bake a cake, I could have sugar. That's the right ingredient, right? I could have eggs. I could have flour. But if I put eggs first, and then I add flour, and then I add sugar, it's not going to come out. The cake will be like, you know what I'm saying? So you're talking about passion now. And when you listen to motivational speakers, they'll be saying, follow your passion. Follow your dream. They interchange these words and people get confused that I don't even know my passion. Do you understand? And you're talking about passion as it relates to what you like to do, your purpose. And the passion is the intensity with which you do. It is not just about, you know, okay, my passion is singing. No, it is the intensity with which you do. You know, so I want you to differentiate between purpose and passion. You know, as a young person now, I'm watching you. I want to be like Ade Tiger. I don't have a big break. How do I attract all these things to happen? Just put them side by side. Purpose, passion, and destiny.
Okay. So you've already answered most of it, but I'm just going to rephrase it in my own words, all right? So, yeah. So the purpose here, from childhood, everybody has directions that their spirit naturally gravitates towards. You understand? Everybody has that thing that you naturally gravitate towards. For attentive parents, they will spot it. Because it's that direction, that will tell what your dream is. Your dream in life, like, you know, that's the things that you know that you gravitate towards naturally.
Gravitate towards,
Yeah, that's your purpose. That's the road to your purpose. Yeah, so for me, I've always gravitated towards two things. One is creativity, and two is service. Like, yes.
Stop. We need to have a offering time for that service. Please, before you go ahead, I need you to define service. Okay. Because a lot of people think they're serving, but really it's self and okay, I'll leave the word. Self validation, self-promotion, you know. I need to try and say the word. Please help me say the word I'm trying to say. Okay, whatever. But you see, people they think it's service, but really it's so I want you to talk about service and your motive.
Okay, so for me, service for me is from the perspective of not being about yourself with anything you're doing. All right. So service in this respect is to my craft. How does my craft affect the industry that I'm in? How does it affect lives? How does it make people happy? You get me? So that's the service. So for me, every script I get, every project I'm called on, it's like a call. It's like a call to make something that will leave a footprint in the sand of time. So as long as whatever you're doing, it's not because of your own self-gratification. You have a higher perspective to it. Then you might not even know it is service. It is service. If you're doing what you're doing so that your industry can grow, if you're doing what you're doing because you understand that you have audience, you have fans that they depend on you for that minute of happiness when they watch you on screen. And you got to show for them and come every single point. That is service. But if you're doing it for, I'm going to be an actor that will blow tomorrow, I'm going to be an artist that's going to blow tomorrow, then you have still not gotten it yet. So for me, service comes from a point of understanding that whatever you are doing, as far as your craft is concerned, or whatever endeavor you are in life, it's not meant for you. It is meant to add value to the world. That's to me, that's as simple as service can be defined. And the world doesn't mean that you are going to have the opportunity to be on a global scale. Only God will decide that. It could be on the small circle you get, but the point is what gives you fulfillment?
Loyal.
Yeah, what gives me fulfillment is the fact that, like, I met some fans recently at different events, and these people were elated to see me. They were elated to speechlessness. And I had to walk up to them because I understood where the emotion is coming from. And that's something a lot of people in our craft don't understand. They get carried away, forgetting that you are the one. The honor is actually yours. It's a rare privilege you have. What you have done is give this person so much of an experience that it is unforgettable. They don't, it is that experience that they are remembering when they see you in person. Like, this is the person that gave me that experience. Like, I was lost in my mood watching this person perform. So that is a rare privilege. There is not a lot of people in this world that get that opportunity. So if you understand that emotion, where that emotion is coming from, it will give room for some level of understanding and acceptance. Like this last event I was almost overwhelmed. And I didn't get tired of taking pictures with people, just hugging them, being close to them, because I understand where the emotion is coming from. I understand the depth of the emotion that these people, they are only expressing to me how much of an experience I gave them. So who is the person that should be the real fan? It's you, the actor. They're supposed to be the fan, not the fans.
Wow.
It's you, because you've been. It's a rare opportunity you've been given for people to see you and reverence you. It means that you have taken them somewhere they could not go by themselves with your performance. So who should be honored? If you think of it from that perspective, it can never get into your head. Because you are in a position of opportunity, you're there by it's a rare chance. It's for people to have that feeling towards you. So for me, if the fulfillment is not that for you, you are not a service-oriented person. For me, KOB was never about being a star, blowing up. When I saw the script itself, it was never about, I'm going to blow. No, it was always about the higher perspective. I thought of some of the things that I've been agitating for over the years myself, as far as Nollywood is concerned. I've seen so many films that, you know, were Oscar standard, but they never got these nominations. And why is that? Because they forgot some of the most important things. Language inclusion. You get me? Language inclusion. You want to tell a story about a Yoruba person that is rich. We cannot see it in the aesthetics. We cannot hear it in the, even a Yoruba person cannot connect with the kind of things that this person is saying. And that is what the Westerners want to see. They don't care about, I mean, you're not going to bring one person that has lived in London all their life to come and be speaking some funny, crappy Yoruba ones. Nah, it's not going to work. You got to go in there. Look, I watched a film sometimes back. The name of the film is Apocalypto. It has 5 Oscars. Not one English was spoken in that film. All the 5 times I watched the film, I read subtitles all through. I'm telling you the truth. I read subtitles. So that's telling you that the closest thing to describe art or to describe creativity is mathematics. It is universal, irrespective of your language or anything. Anybody will understand. Just be original with your content. So KLB was content originality for me. How many times did Odogumale speak English? He spoke Igbo 80% of the time, and he represented, like any Igbo person would see that character. Look at Shola Shibu as Labru. Even in the film, there are several times she would say, my English is not good, though. Me, I'm a Yoruba woman. You will hear that originality of language inclusion. That is what is taking this movie to the. That is actually what is taking this movie to the next level. People don't understand it.
Did you have the opportunity to freestyle your lines? Did you ad-lib, like, you know,
it was very difficult. So let me tell you why it was difficult. Because you see, the lines were so weighty. And even if you want to freestyle, you can't really go off like that. Because if you are into that script, you're not going to have too much problem remembering the lines, even when they're long, because of how weighty they are. You cannot express what was written in that script better than it was written. That is one script I can say that of all the scripts I've read, you will think of other ways to express it. You can't find any way, because it was carefully. Kemi literally got her dad to do all the Yoruba interpretations for the film. Her father. So that's why he's so grounded. The guy is possibly a septuagenarian, much older guy. He lived through some certain era. So some Yoruba
could interpret.
Speak again. Baba still knows all of them. As in, when Atishala and I sometimes are just rehearsing the lines and just reading the script and stuff, you know. If you see how, like, the man was busting everybody's heads.
I remember when I started watching it. I sent you a text.
Yeah,
I said, you said, don't worry, just keep you be watching, don't worry.
Yeah.
But you said something that I don't want us to gloss over, the need for service.
Yeah.
You know, because we live in a social media age where everybody just wants to blow, like you said. You know, if we post a picture and it doesn't have the attention that we require or we desire, we delete it and post another one that will show what people want to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how do you build the mind to serve, the intention of service, the desire to serve others? Is it something that comes with you or something that you can build over time?
So this is where I was going to mention this. This is where service, passion, this is where they come together. Whatever you are doing, if it is from a perspective of passion, if it is passion driven, it doesn't take long before you start to gravitate, because passion itself, passion is not about you. Passion is, there is something that is motivating you to do what you're doing. And the accolades you are going to get, it's not about you. So that's where the marrying factor is. You should find, if there's some people always think, yes, for me, I think the passion was inborn, or, you know, they will say, but it's not all the time that passion is in, but passion can be developed. People always they just forget that part. Passion can be developed. The first one here is your purpose, which is where you gravitate towards naturally. So with that, it's easier for you to find passion. But you can, if you pick an interest in something, passion simply means finding a tangible reason to do what you're doing. Find a tangible reason, a reason that is substantial to do it.
And that will determine the intensity with which you do it. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not, that's why not everybody was born an actor. Nobody was actually born an actor. People just had, inclinations, and definitely at some point your mind will gravitate. People have strengths, just the same way some people naturally just know mathematics, or they are good. Some people are very good. There are those things, but it doesn't mean that somebody who doesn't know mathematics cannot build mathematics. You can develop it if you have that much. If you find a tangible reason to follow through with it, you would learn, because that is your propellant.
Yeah.
The fact that you have, so passion is finding a tangible reason, finding a tangible reason to do what you're doing, because that is what gives it substance. That's what gives it substance. So that's the marrying part for me. Because I love this craft so much, in whatever aspect I'm functioning, either behind the scene or in front, because I love the craft so much, because I see the impact that it has. I'm paying attention to these things because of the love I have for the craft, the impact it has on humanity, what it does for people, what a simple film can do to the mood of a person, what watching a simple show can do to the mood of a person. It inevitably becomes the reason why I am being propelled to do it, to see those people have those experiences. So whether I planned it or not, I have gravitated towards service. So that's the marrying passion.
Yeah, so throw gift and talent quickly into that mix.
Yes, gift and talent. Yeah, in the line of following, discovering your purpose, seeing the areas where your mind gravitates towards, definitely you would, it is on that same part that you discover your gifts. Because everybody is born with different gifts. It's in that line that you will see while you are trying to discover your purpose. And that's why I said I'm grateful for the kind of parents I had, and I hope a lot of parents also would just keep an eye out. Education is good and all of that, but just keep that extra eye out for where your children's interests are gravitating. You will see it, and when you see it, don't suppress it. Find a way to to
encourage
balance
and build.
Let him just grow in that thing, no matter how little. Just let him grow. Let him grow in it. Let him just grow. Let him find a way to just encourage the child in that direction, because you never know where it is leading. It is in that place that he will find his gifts. And your gift, I mean, there is nothing sweeter than developing a gift. Like discovering that you're a singer today now, and then you amplify that, you grow. I mean, passion, all those things they will naturally just surround it.
Naturally.
Much easier than than you having to be an accountant for, let's say, the first 10 to 2 years of your life, and then at that point decide that, even at that point it's never too late. But the point is, I mean, it's not going to be easier at that point, because you formed yourself in the career.
It will take much more determination, discipline.
It will take a lot more of life from you, because the clock of life never stops ticking, and that's the truth everybody needs to realize. So, and trust me, there are life challenges that will always be in the way of your career
development.
They will always be there. That these things can potentially stop you from doing what you're doing. And the only reason why you will not stop is passion. You get me? So for me now, even if all this fame goes away and all of that, I mean, if life happens, and I'm not going to stop doing this thing, because I'm so connected to it. That is the only thing that I can say. There is almost a divinity to the connection. Because life will happen. Life has happened several times. I'm telling you, and the only option, which was quitting, I didn't take the only option available.
Tell us one of that kind of it. One. Okay. Well, before you tell us that, I want you to tell us the danger of comparison, and then think of one issue that made you cry, that you almost tried to give up, and what you did to come back. But before then, tell us the danger. Give us an insight to let's talk about the danger of comparison.
All right. So I would say that I think comparison in the first place comes from a very myopic perspective. You get me? Anybody who is comparing, you have a short vision of how things actually work in life. If you get me, there are some things that are yours as a person to do and pursue. There are some other things that are the responsibility of the universe or the maker, as it is. You cannot do the maker's job, and the maker will not do your part for you. So if you're comparing, that means you feel that you are good enough for something. That's not you. It's not you. It's
Entitlement.
That's an entitlement that, and trust me, if anybody, the biggest bluff caller is the universe itself. The universe calls everybody's bluff. If you feel you are too good for something, the universe will remind you that you are not. You are not any better than, you get me? So if you stay steadfast in what you're doing, it still comes down to loving what you do. You love what you're doing. It's not about when you blow or, comparing yourself. Oh, this person started 5 years after me. I have actors that, we were in Emerald together, and then 2-3 years after, they just went all the way up and all that. So, and I'm happy for their success, and, I never envied them. I was always happy for them. In the time, what was I doing? I was developing myself in capacity in other aspects of the industry. Not talking about the fact that, oh, these people have blown today. Nah, I mean, you got to look at things from the higher perspective, because I'm looking at the next 20 years, the next 15 years, and saying, okay, as far as this career is concerned, what are the footprints that I will have in the sand of time? And just forget what impact. I mean, what would people remember? Not me as a person, like, what would they remember the projects I've been on for, because of the impact those projects made? Not because, you get me? So it's a myopic perspective for people to, I'll just advise anybody who is in that. I know that sometimes those pressures are there. As a human being, you can have those feelings, but you need to understand that it's in your interest first to always see things from the higher perspective. Just look above first and see.
Think bigger.
Yeah, everybody's time will eventually come. That's for the universe to decide. It may be now, it may be 10 years. Look, trust me, tomorrow that we're talking about, another film can drop, and there could be another breakout star that could have a far more interesting story than me. So what happens then? Am I going to start envying the person? So I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing, and, see how I can foster collaborations across the globe. Try to make Nollywood as global as Hollywood is in a little way that I can. Let's have big films, because that's what it takes. You get to a stage that you can't do it alone. You still one of the things that is militating against Nigerian producers. Everybody wants my film to be the baddest. No, collaboration. People are not so collaborative. I mean, look at Avengers. Go and look at the end credits of Avengers. You'll be surprised that you see big cinemas that have their own big films on the end credit that are competition to themselves. They collaborated to make magic work, because in all it's all about the craft. In the end of it all, it's about the craft. It's not about. So I mean, be bigger with your perspective to things. If you are finding it difficult, it means that back to the beginning, you are here for the wrong reason. You are here for the wrong reason. You are here for maybe it's money you came to look for, and you are here for the wrong. If you are finding it difficult to see things from a higher perspective, you are here for the wrong reason.
Wow. I see why you didn't have a lot of difficulty getting into your Ade Tiger role. You didn't have to enter character. It's really just who you are, and that's cool. But before we get to that, to KOB and talk about it, I want you to give us one time, because everything you're saying now, these are words from someone that has been cooked in the furnace of affliction. You can't tell me that, oh, I just woke up and I became like a great motivation. No. It has to be something that cooked you and formed you like this. So give us one experience, because you've been referring to, I had the opportunity to either quit or move on. Give us one example of that time that people will say, oh, hey, my own is even better. But if just give us one.
So I'll give you two. The first one, the first one was when I was living in Nigeria. Yes, it was a serious fallout. Let me just be honest about it. Although myself and Kwame have met several times afterwards, it didn't last too long. We were smart, and we've claimed drinks over it, like it's one of those things. But it was a fallout. It wasn't at the time. it wasn't exactly palatable. All right. So, and then the project didn't start until 2 months afterwards. So even though within that 2 months I was preparing and all of that, I was away from Nigeria that I had given my soul to. That was a difficult moment. So several times I thought, you know what? I almost second-guessed myself. Like, did I do the right thing by telling Kwame that I need to work for now? You know, I was so attached to the channel. I was seeing the channel, like I was still watching the channel every day. I was still seeing what the new channel manager was doing, seeing, you know, just still observing mistakes. I don't go. I'll prepare for my next project. So that was a very difficult time for me because and then the project had some stalls, and at some point it looked like it wasn't going to happen anymore. And at that point I made up my mind, like, you know what, it is what it is. Like, just man up on it, man. If it doesn't work out, I mean, man up on it. You would do partnerships with Nigeria. You would do things for them, you know, but you're not going back there. Not you. You are past that phase. So don't you move ahead. So just move ahead. So that was
what you just said now. It sounds so simple, but it's one of the most difficult things ever when you're trying to move forward, but the past is calling you.
Yeah.
And you're so attached to the past because now the fear of the unknown is making you, like you said, second guess yourself. Yeah. But the past that you're comfortable with, you're comfortable in, you already know how it works, you know? How is it, what do you have to, who do you become to say, you know what, I will be broke, I will not have money, I will cry, I will not have a car, but I will follow destiny. How difficult is it to get to that mind frame?
Yeah, you can only passion can take you through times like that. Only pure passion, nothing else. That's through those kind of times, only pure passion, nothing else, because that is the only tangibility. That's everything else. The house at that point has crumbled. All that is left is the foundation, and that foundation is your passion. So if passion is not your foundation at that point, you will not have a foundation. There's no reason. You just, you know, go and dust your certificate and go and look for another venture or something, or maybe go and work about 9-to-5 job. Another time that I'll give an example was when I was trying to gravitate back into acting, and I was already a producer then. So this is something that a lot of people possibly have not experienced. So I started going for auditions. And that is one thing I think people should understand, that if you have passion for something, drop self-pride. So I was a producer on the show. And then, you know, after I do my duties as a producer, I go for auditions probably the next day or the following day. And then I meet people that I casted on my show. And then they'll be making fun of me, like, they follow us with this acting hustle. You're not going to stay in your production, you know. And several times it happened. But the truth is, I told myself, I have as much right to be here as you do. We're going it. So when you come on my set, I will be your producer. But here, we are here for audition together. Everybody will take their turn in line. You're going to do your own. I will do my own. So it wasn't really, if you're somebody that is so self-conscious of yourself, you know, the image, people are looking at you, all these things, you won't be able to stand that pressure. Because you know the way people just, you know, they just chatterbox, and, you know, before you know, everybody that is on the audition knows that one producer is here on the audition to come and queue for, you get me? And then some of them want to get nasty at you, like, you know, like, because there are some nasty producers anyway. After I've experienced it, I don't think I'm one of them. I'm just very principled with what I do at the job. So, but they're like, you said, the way they do us, you said you could see how today. Yeah, so and that went on for some time, but it never stopped me from going. I will continue going for, like, I literally, sometimes I will leave my sets. The actors that acted on my stage would meet together at the same audition, and it happened severally. So and sometimes the comments were nasty. The comments were you know, they were. But if you're, as I said again, if the passion is not pure, man, you won't be able to stand the pressure, because, you know, people can just be nasty like that. You get me? So, but for me, I just always shake it off, like, what are this one saying? Because I know why I'm here. Like, look, I got enough reason to be here. You can't tell me I don't, except you tell me I don't have a right to be here. And then you show me what book it is written. Yeah, so that's another point when I would say the pressure was crushing. Like I could have just stayed in my zone. Like, you know what? Make I just be producer. Go. I have reputation. I have respect in this. Let me just keep my respect. Now, like, I go to the audition. I went and I didn't stop going. And I took some very, very shit roles too, because I just liked the interpretation. Because I wasn't thinking about myself. I was always thinking about, okay, this is my shit role. How well can I do it? That will add value to the film in general. Even if it is not noticed, let that shit role not be the one that people will notice is a shit role. Let it be done so well that even at the worst case scenario, it will not even be noticed. It will just add value to the film. So, yeah.
Yeah, what you're saying reminds me, when I was in school, I did acting in Hollywood, right? My teacher would tell us that there are no small roles, only small actors. Yeah. So if it's waka pass, that is your job. Waka, it's like, let everybody say, look at that girl that did waka pass. She did it well, you know? Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
So let's talk about KOB. How did you get the audition? Because what you're saying is all these small things, they were little fires that became a big fire. A lot of people will, they're looking for the highlight, and then they shun all the low moments that ultimately become the highlight, and then they miss out. They're like, nothing happens for me. But when they had the opportunity to hone their craft, they didn't, make use of it. So you said you took all these quote unquote roles that you people would have despised. You didn't despise it. And then how did it lead you to KOB?
Okay, so first I think the little roles, even if they didn't do anything for me, for every time you try out something as an actor, you get better at it. So it's all about self-development. That's one thing I always try to tell people. Even the big names, Shalashibu Ali, RMD, Insert, these guys, till now, I was talking to Shola, which they said she was busy reading a novel and creating a character, a monologue from the character in the novel. So if an actor at that level, after 27 years in the craft of different, from theater background, is still working on herself, what excuse do you have? So those are the things that the little roles did for me. I saw them as opportunity to, learn and adapt across different characters. So for every time you try it, you are better at it. And then it leading to KOB. Well, I would say that KOB, my journey to KOB is a different story entirely. It's something that, and there's still no way that I can talk about this story without talking about Shola Shewale and Kemi Adetiba, because it's a script on its own.
Kemi was the first person that interviewed me on Rhythm FM in 1999.
Are you
or
serious?
something. She was a presenter on Rhythm FM.
Wow.
She was one of the first few people when my first single came out. She was one of them.
Wow, small world, man. Look at
how
we're all going to meet again. Nobody even knew, man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, after we finished the third season of Hustle, that's myself and Shola Shewale as a producer, and then we finished Palace 2 as an actor. KOB was about to start around that time, so she had moved to camp for KOB, and I had started a new project as a producer with Ima Uduma, the same guy that was the producer of Emerald. So at this time now, he has a production company called Smart Media that was they were the producers of MTV Sugar. So that's our second. So you can see the cross. I met him first as an actor, and now I'm working with him as a producer. So and then I met Shola Shewale first as a producer, and then now I'm working with her as an actor. But our camps were, I think, like 10 minutes apart. So it had almost become a fight between two friends. Like, how can our camps be 10 minutes apart, and then you can't even say you find 5 minutes to come and check on me? She started making those subtle statements. So I knew before this thing becomes a full-blown fight, because Auntie Shola will not, she will fight you. Once she loves you. So she will fight you like, nah, you don't do things like that. So one of the days when I finished on set, I think we just finished a couple of seasons, so I had some time off for, I think, about a month or something. I decided to pay her a surprise visit without telling her. So I got there, I called. The hotel she was camped is a place I've camped severally on different projects. So everybody knows me there. Nobody stopped me. I go wherever I want. So I called her and, I apologized, for not checking on her, and all that. I said, okay, I have a gift for you. I dropped it at the reception just to make it sweet. I dropped it at the reception, and somebody will be bringing it to your room. What's your room number? So she gave her room number, and then she started getting upset, like, so you can come. You will not come. You can't even now come and check me. It's to drop gift and go. No, don't give for trouble. So she came to, when I knocked the door of the room and she opened the door, she was still on the phone apparently. Still, and then she saw me, she was happy, she was excited. We hugged, and then we went in, we started chatting and gisting. And then 5 minutes later, Auntie Shola goes to the bathroom to make a telephone call. I don't pay any attention to it at that time. And then she walks back in, we're still gisting and chatting. And then 5 minutes later, Kemi Adetiba walks into the room. So Kemi walks into the room, and I'd met Kemi twice before, not in person, over the phone, with a colleague friend of ours. Her name is Uche Ikejima. She's the producer of Big Brother. So Uche is Kemi's friend too. So I'd spoken to Kemi on the phone twice through Uche. So she just kind of remembered that. You're that guy that I spoke to through. So we just, I just congratulated her on the commencement of the project, wishing her well and stuff. And then next thing, conversation is gravitating towards Ade Tiger, and how from the minute she saw me, she saw an embodiment of what the character should look like when she was writing it. So I took it as a friendly compliment. Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate.
And then I'm looking at Adishola, and she had this smirk on her face. When conspiracy has come to be. Until this day, she has never considered it. But I know that reading the script, because what Kemi did was she didn't just give a script, she gave the script on the character Bible. And the character Bible describes the character, which is something that our producers also should. They should do more of it. There are very few producers that give character Bible. Because the character Bible for KOB was almost as big as the script itself. Just describing the characters and who they are. So I'm sure at that point, reading that script, she knew that all she had to do was to make sure myself and Kemi see one-on-one. So, and then I tell Kemi, okay, well, I'm already under the understanding that there is somebody here on set that you have camped. People have put him in a hotel already to play the character for Ade Tiger. And I don't used to spoil people's destiny. Yes, we'll have another opportunity to do something monumental. But this one, let the guy that you have brought in, let him have his opportunity. I was like willing to bow out. At that very moment, her brother Remi Adetiba walks into the room with a contract. So I knew these guys meant what they were saying. So Kemi had seen me. She had texted Remi quickly, like all within the space of 30 minutes. And then I tell Remi, look, the same thing, like, Remi, I can't take this contract because you have somebody, and Remi was like, no, not to worry. Now I sorted that part out already. Like, before coming here, I went to the actor, and I paid him full remuneration just for him to excuse the role for you to take on. So Remi actually paid complete money for an actor that never acted one day. That's the extent. So for me, when I see people do bold, daring things like that, it's a natural attraction, man. You've caught me. When I can see that you are willing to, walk at the edge of fire for a dream.
For me,
I will walk that edge with you. So that was the part that got me like, all right. So if you can go this length to pay somebody else complete money, that's how budget is tight. Everybody's trying to manage money, and then you are paying another actor full money for not sorry. You are giving him full money. You know what? Thank you. We appreciate your service, but don't worry. We have our reasons for.
So as all of us like you, one person there for this work, we don't like you.
Plenty people did. Well, the guy possibly didn't think much of it because he's been paid now. He's been paid, so he probably like, you know what? Until the next, at least whatever I was going to do with the time, I can do other things with my time. He probably never knew that the role was going to become something like this and stuff. So he took the money it was some good money now. It wasn't chicken change. The money was interesting money that they paid him. You get me? And they didn't, because of that, try to negotiate me down, or they were reasonable. They showed pure love for the art. That's the thing with Kemi. Kemi has pure love for this craft. And that is my attraction to her also. Her love for the craft is pure. There is no sacrifice that she cannot take for this craft. There is no length she cannot go because of this craft. So when I have somebody like that, trust me, guys, let us go to the top of a helicopter that is 60,000 feet and skydive blindfolded, not knowing what's on ground. I will keep the memory of the dream in my head and jump with you. That's the kind of thing I would. So the only thing I asked at that point was, can she allow me, I think, about 4 days to just read the script, since it's all of a sudden, like, I can't just get. And she was like, okay, like, there's no problem, like, we can give you the 4 days. The only thing that we request of you is that you spend the 4 days here. We already booked your room. So that is how I ended up not going home.
Wow.
From visiting Shola Sheboale on set. That's how I ended up not going home for KOB 1. And when I read the character Bible, I was bedazzled. And many people don't know that KOB was never supposed to be a continued series. It was supposed to be a one-off. Part 1 was all it was supposed to be. Yeah. It's the voice of the audience. That's why I say we in the craft are like public servants. The minute the public calls for more, we don't have a choice. So the Sorosoke was loud enough. That's what brought yeah, the Sorosoke was really loud. Like, you guys can't stop it here. That's what brought season 2. But even if there was never a season 2, I was very satisfied with season, because I was happy to be part of that project. I saw Kemi's, I understood what Kemi meant when she said the perception I had of how Ade Tiger should look appeared in person when she saw me. I saw it in the character Bible. The description was anything different from what any Nigerian movie had told. Usually you would expect Alajigi Jaga looking or go. Shout out to those guys. Those guys are legends, man. You know, looking wicked, have a scar on your face, look horrible. Ade Tiger. You get me? Nah. Kemi wanted to tell the real mafioso story. Like, this is not how the mafias look, man. The real mafia, they don't look like that.
Oh, yeah.
You will know they are bad people, like, they do bad things, but they will be clean-looking guys. They will look. So, and that's the story she was trying. And it was very bold. It was very audacious. For me, that audacity was more than everything for me, like breaking from the norm, doing something different from what everybody else was doing. Because apparently the guy that was on set before had that type of look. And I think that was the problem she had. Yeah, the guy was a big guy. It was
stereotype.
Really
yeah, cast type. Yeah.
So that's the reason why she didn't really like she wasn't fascinated by and the guy was not a bad actor. So I read that and I was like, and then in an entire script that I appeared 23 times, I only get to speak 5 times. So some actors because of that will not take the role. But any real actor will know that. For me, that was a learning experience. Some of the most difficult scenes.
You only spoke 5 times?
I only spoke 5 times in part 1.
Wow.
I only spoke 5, but you won't notice. Because communication is beyond words. The most difficult things for you.
Someone write it. Let's pin that. Let's write it. Communication is beyond words.
Yeah, it's beyond words. So many, the most difficult things for you to film as an actor are the things that you communicate without words. And then you're communicating a bad guy, a villain. Nobody really got to see me killing anybody in part 1 of the. It was all.
Darren, don't worry. I can hear you. I hear you, Darren. Don't worry.
It was
go ahead.
It was put in people's minds by the character, by the demeanor, by the attitude. So I was communicating without words. Like most times, even when you have speaking lines, speaking roles, you still have to use emotions to back it up. Talk less of when you have only emotions to, like, you got to. So for me, that part 1 was an exercise. It was an amazing exercise. I was able to exercise muscles that I never exercised before. Because sometimes you realize that it's easier to just say some things. But you can't say nothing. And they got to see it in your eyes. They got to see it in your expression. They got to see it in your mannerism, your courage. The audience have to understand who you are. So it was an amazing experience. I was charmed by Kemi's audacity, creating a character like that. I mean, like, I spoke 5. Like, there are only 5 scenes out of 23 scenes. There were 5 scenes with dialogue in KOB 1. 5.
Wow.
But people might not notice because.
As you're talking, I'm even just thinking about even part 2. One of the most emotional scenes, which was what I used for my flyer.
Yeah.
I just realized you only said Oba. You understand? I just thought about it now. Remember when he said, "Omoteyan be like, my child can't even do this for me." That scene, and it just occurred to me that all you said was Oba, and when she said you won't regret it, wow.
Yeah. So even in part 2, part 2 was a lot more dialogue, dude. But even the dialogue was always subliminal.
Yeah.
Ade Tiger is the person that would say a little and let you figure the rest out, or his body language will speak the rest for him. So as much as I had dialogues in part, there were scenes that had serious dialogue. There was the scene at the table when she eventually put food in my mouth. That was a long dialogue scene. You get me? But and that was pretty much trying to break it into the mind of the audience that this, showing how connected he is to her. Like he's not just that, as much as she sees him as a son or what is left as family, he also sees her that way too. So he genuinely cares for her. That's why he was angry. His anger showed, like, you're talking about politics now. Ojutu Bariba has taken over the table, priding himself as the king, and you're talking about politics. So
she said, Joan, I was like, just eat.
So,
and then this civilian girl, who is that girl?
The what?
The civilian. Remember when she looked at you and said, you don't discuss stuff like this in front of civilians? Who's the
house girl?
Yeah, the house girl. Was she planted?
Well, you're gonna have to watch the film again. Because let's not give any spoilers for those who still haven't watched. But yes, she was planted.
Okay.
And there's a story to her. Yeah, I think K.O.B. is one of those films that you can't watch once and
Yes, and get it. Yeah,
there's so much undertones and stories that you just have to be very attentive for you to understand. Like so. But so that part, that's an assignment for you. You got to watch it again.
No, I know she was planted, but I just couldn't figure out. Because at the end, when Auntie Shola came and saw her, she said, you are still here.
Yes.
So I was like,
that's the statement now. That's the statement of saying, I know that you are a mole.
I know.
And I know that, like, she's gone.
Okay.
There's she's been there. Let me not spoil it. Like I said, there are people.
Okay, don't spoil. If you haven't watched it, go log off. I'm playing. Okay, so people have questions.
Yeah.
People are like, I want to ask a question. So the lines are open for questions. Please ask your questions while we talk, So when you watch this film, I mean, I watch movies, right? And I can see somebody kind of not really coming 100%, like they're dropping the ball. But boy, even in American movies, you see some people that this guy just stay there. All of you guys, listen, as in, like, my head was blowing. I called my brother in Niger. I said, you did? I was like, yes, me too. As in, like, everybody brought their A game. I mean, was that something that Kemi had to instill in you, or everybody just thought, listen, man, we got to come correct?
So I think it's a symbiotic relationship, what the actors and the producers of the film had. All right. I personally, I admired Kemi's audacity, not just from part one. Part two was a step further for me, because when I saw the script, I got to find out about some conversations that she had before the script was done. And I respected her for it, because naturally there were people who were telling her that, look, because of the way Nigeria is, money is hard to find. People advised her to consider writing the part two from the marketing perspective, which is use the names that are big and all those kind of things that can sell the film. At least some people, but she wasn't having none of that. Like, let the story go in that direction, so at least those people have more prominence, and then even if he's the best actor yet to be discovered, he will have his moment. But she was like, no. So she was through and thorough with the story. Like, I'm following the story to book. This is the only person left for Shola Shibowale Laburu as a child. That is the direction the story will go. So that audacity, for me alone, I can't count how many Nigerian producers can boast of the same. Like, you have big names in K.O.B. People that, naturally you would think, okay, if you want to break the bank, these are the people. But everybody played their role right. That's why maybe when we were on set, nobody was doing bigger. Because we had neutralized it by understanding that it's about the story. And this comes from the writer, the director. She had put it there, like, if this person that has not done a big film like this before is the one I'm going to use for this role, he's already sensed the message. Or if the story will go in the direction of this person, as opposed to you. So that sensed the message. So we came with that same love. I'm sure, as much as I had my head busted when I was reading the script, every actor did the same thing too. Because I personally took 1 month off just to read K.O.B. and just absorb character. Because when I read it the first time, I saw what she was going to do. I saw the extent. I saw the positioning. I saw how grand. I thought of the large picture, like Nollywood. This is what we need right now. I thought of the global scale. I thought of the global acceptance. even if it doesn't, even if it never gets that far, the audacity of it, like, this is what we need today, right now. I thought of all of that, and then I disengaged from everything I was doing for the first month. So I was about to start a new African Magic project. I returned the money. It almost became fight, but I said, yeah, because I was ready, and I'm sure every actor had similar experience at different levels. You get, but I remember the first time myself and IMD met on set. We had met before, as when I was a production manager on one of the projects that he worked on as an actor, so we know ourselves before. But the first day we met on set, you know, I remember the conversation we had and how he expressed, you know, like when he read the script for QB, he was, you know, he was elated. And I remember the conversation myself and Kemi had. So Kemi came to me, and Kemi did not ask me with any iota of doubt. She didn't say, "Oh, can you do it? Oh, a lot has been invested. Oh, there's a lot of money at stake. Oh, people have been advised." She didn't say none of that. I know. I found out the battle she fought. She didn't say. She asked the simple question: "Will you do it?" So you don't ask me that, man. That's the dare point. I'm like, girl, we're gonna do it.
We're gonna do
it, and we'll do it 200%. So, I mean, I think it was the unity we had as actors is symbiotic with we had our little actors
of course
WhatsApp chat where
but yeah,
sometimes it was with the actors that influenced because we shot a lot of things. KB was a difficult production, trust me. I'll tell you, it was like if you want to do something impossible, be prepared for impossible challenges. We had difficulties shooting KOB.
No, it was worth it. It was worth it.
It was. So sometimes it's the actors that would motivate the reshoots, because by the time we look at the energy, and we were like like a blockchain. Everybody was a strong link. Again,
that's what I was gonna ask, because the chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody was everybody's muscle, everybody's motivation. We kept it strong for ourselves. So many times after shooting, we go to our camps, we have drinks and stuff, and then we end up back in one person's room. We can be dead till the next morning, just having fun. From having fun, we move into running lines. But yeah, and this had no barriers. Myself, RMD, Tony Tones, and Sholashibu, as they would pack ourselves like that to one person, everybody left that. Oh no, it wasn't happening. We developed the love.
You could see it. You could see it. You could see it. Yeah. Derry, we're saying ask questions about KOB. They say, are you married? Are you single? What's the deal?
I'm gonna leave that one. The only thing I don't talk about on social media is my personal life. I have my reasons for that. I don't.
Okay, so there you go. There.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could answer you, but you would have to know me personally to know personal things about me. Let me leave that. Let me focus on what I'm using to serve you people, which is my craft. So let's leave my personal life in one corner.
Hey, okay. And the baby at the end. This baby is that pregnancy at the end. Did you see? Don't tell us. You can't even say it.
A lot of people miss that end credit scene. So I hope now that you've mentioned it, some people miss that scene. They didn't realize that there was an end credit scene after the film. They didn't realize it. So for those of you who still haven't seen the end credit scene, go and watch it.
Go watch it and watch it till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I know you can't tell us. Me, in my mind, I've started thinking that maybe the girl went to cheat on the guy, because then the guy would now not be destroyed, and people be like, Shabi, the guy said that if the wife does this, if he gets pregnant, she gets pregnant. So maybe that's when he'll now find out the wife cheated, and then he'll use the sword to cut off her. Okay. I think. All right, so let's take one more question. Oh, thank you. I'm not singing again. We have stepped up to other things. I am, but this is not about me. This is about Ade Tiger. Let us have one last question before we go. But you've said some key things today, because a lot of people don't understand that these things, it's like due process. You know, you have to arrange the blocks like that. You know, all these little things that you did, that you didn't despise, that led you up to the big moment. And even the big moment, you're not even looking at it or idolizing it as a big moment. You're still seeing it as service. There's no better way to look at stuff. And trust me, absolutely, up is the way, because now you've already put the ducks in a row. You know why you're doing what. And you mentioned, listen, guys, he said something very important. He said your why will keep you grounded. Your why will choose your friends. Your why will choose the places you go to. Your why is everything, because where purpose isn't known, abuse is inevitable. So guys, even as we wrap this up, please take your notebook and write, why am I here? There are two special days in the life, two most important days in the life of any human being: the day you were born and the day you find out why. So just understand that, listen, why am I here? You know, because I learned something over this last week that a lot of people, you know, abuse, right? Abuse is when you take something and you misuse it, right? And so if I have a life and I have a purpose and I'm supposed to fulfill something, if I'm not doing it, guess what? Questions. Let me leave my story. But if I'm not doing it, I'm misusing my purpose or my destiny. And then guess what? I'll feel unfulfilled. And that's why I start to do all these crazy things, because I am not fulfilling. It's like taking a fish and putting it in the sand, that you have to be in the sand. And the fish is like, no, I want to be inside water, you know. But anyway, find who you are, why you are here. And I hope you go watch this Bouquis Place on YouTube, subscribe. And one last question before we release Titi.
All right.
Are you in Nigeria? Are you in Nigeria or in Canada?
I'm in Nigeria at the moment.
Okay.
I'm in Nigeria at the moment.
Okay,
I will be at some point later this year, but for now, I'm not in. I have other things that I've. It's all about, for me, it's all about the global perspective of things, expansion. So the world for me, Nigeria, everywhere, wherever the craft takes me, is where I want to go, irrespective of country and stuff. So that is my reasoning. So.
Okay, that's a sign. Your your volume has gone. Okay, it's back. Your audio.
So I'm not in Nigeria in person, but I'm there in spirit. I'm there in
spirit.
Yeah,
because we saw all the pictures for the promo, and we were like, "Where is Ade Tiger? Ade Tiger is missing. Ade Tiger is missing all the pictures." Yeah. Anyway, so let's wrap up. What are like the last words? I hate it when people say last words. The reason why I can't ask the questions is because I can't scroll up again, guys. It's too jacked up. I can't, you know, scroll up, so I can't see the questions. But let's release you. So you have does KOB have continuation? I saw that. There's gonna be
a Osaka is loud enough, it will happen. The same way
this one. Oh yeah, absolutely. Even me, I can tell you, is having another season. Don't even worry about that one. All right. So what for an aspiring actor, singer, musician, someone who wants to live life? What are like the things if you had 5 seconds to change your life, what would you tell them?
Find your purpose, embed it with passion. That's all. Everything else, living your dreams, all those things, in the journey of finding your purpose and embedding it with passion. Trust me.
You'll find it. You stumble into it.
You'll find everything else. You find friends, you find loyalty, you find everything. Just find purpose, then embed it with passion. Just let those two things. Good. Yeah.
Wow. Last question. That's amazing. Find it. Don't be saying I want to find my passion. Find your purpose, then use your passion to push it.
Yes, that's it.
So last question. If you could throw everything away, all the experiences you've had, if you could throw it away and hold on to just one, what would it be? In your life, or from beginning to now, if you could throw everything away and hold on to just one.
Do you want me to answer honestly? Very sincerely. I wouldn't throw anything away. Like, whatever it is I've been through, good and bad, is what has shaped me to become who I am, or has led me to this point. I don't know what the future beholds, but if any parts of that link is taken out, the story will have gone in a different direction. So I know people always at times think, oh, at that point in my life, if I had done that, you don't know the end of that journey. So the place that you are now, as long as you're alive, you're breathing, and you have things to be grateful for, don't regret experiences, good or bad. Don't regret mistakes. Don't regret any of those things. They've contributed to your formation. So all you can do is put all that together and let it guide you going forward.
Wow, let it guide you going forward. So no looking back, straight up ahead.
Yeah.
Mr. I want to call you Ade Tiger. Mr.
If you do
Ade
it, I'll
Tiger.
find you $100. You got me 3 times already.
So, Mr. Titi Kuti, thank you so much for coming to Bouquie's Place. Is there any question you have for the people watching before you go?
I just have a big thank you to all of them, because I understand what a great sacrifice it is to be here with us, just enjoying or just being a part of this chat. In Nigeria, it's probably about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. This is the hustle and bustle time.
Yeah.
You get me? It's difficult. I'm sure some people are in their cars watching this. And wherever you are in the world, I'm sure you have other things you could have done with the past 2 hours, but you decided to spend your time with us. So I really appreciate you guys. And I will always do everything I can to bring that performance that puts smiles on your faces. Thank you very much for coming through. And thank you, Bouquis, for having me on your show. It's been great.
Listen, tell Kemi that myself, I'm having acting something. I'm playing.
Yeah, so she'll be happy to cast you, I'm sure.
Man, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you. What's the next project you're working on? What should we look out for?
I'm not going to spill that yet, but yes,
Okay. Leave the cat in the bag. Meow, meow. All right. Thank you guys from all over the world. Thank you for joining us, and follow Titi on Instagram. That is Titi.
Kuti_.
Titi Kuti _. You know, and you need to listen. Let's celebrate people that are going somewhere. You know, let's just encourage and, you know, share the word, share everything you've learned today. Purpose will preserve you. Your passion will keep you focused, and all these things that you need to do, Destiny, and make an impact in life. I love you guys, Titi.
Love
for
you
life.
Guys. Till I die.
For life. Till I die. Till I die. God bless you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Absolutely. All right. I'll see you guys some other time. God bless.